When you want to create a header in the page, let us see what are the attributes it has got. So when you go to the attributes, it has got title, it has got subtitle here, it has got help URL, it has got rendered description, then we have got rendered and the print URL. These are the 6 attributes that we have got in the Apex section header. So let us start here. I am creating a new page. Section header. In this, I am creating here Apex section header, title, I am giving here subtitle, I am giving here description, similarly I have got something called help. So look at the things: description, help, ID, print URL, rendered, subtitle, title. So I'm going for help. When you click on the help link, which page should be open? As of now, I have not created any page, so I'm using just a Google page. So I'm using here Google.com. Right. So this is what I have created. So I have created title, subtitle, description, help. Let me save them. Have a preview of this. Look at the point. This is the title what I created. This is the subtitle what I got. This is the description. This is the help URL. Right. Now along with this, I have a component called rendered. When you have a component called rendered, whenever I say rendered equal to false, component will not be displayed. So I give rendered equal to false. I have saved this component. Let me show you. The section header is not displayed. So whenever we give rendered equal to false, the corresponding component will not be displayed on the page. Any query on this? Go to example here. In this, let me take out rendered equal to false. Okay. Let me give the screenshot of this. You can try out for the example. Okay. I hope the components are clear. Title, subtitle, description, rendered, help. Let me modify and save the screenshot so that you can refer it for the further. Okay. Right. So now, the second thing what we are going to learn now is how to display the data. How to display the data on the Visualforce page. In case if I want to display any data on the Visualforce page, how do you display the data? So in case if you want to display the data in the Visualforce page, we need to go for expression format. We have something called expression format. So the data is going to be printed in the form of expression. Let me give you. When you want to display the data in the Visualforce page, the data should be represented in expression format, which means it would be given in this format. Expression. Whatever the value that expression gives you, that will be printed on the page. Whatever the value that is retrieved from the expression or generated by the expression, that is displayed in the page. Let me give you an example of that. I have expression 10. It prints the value 10. I have an expression 10 plus 20. I have the expression value Sham when we get expression value, we are going to get Sham killer. So whatever the value that we are giving in the expression or the value that is generated by the expression, that is going to be printed on the page. So let me give you in this way. When I have is null of 10, the formula function is null of 10. As it is not a null value, it returns false. This is how we are going to print the data in the page. So let me give an example here. Data in the page. So let me give you the values here. 10. So I'm giving some value. I'm taking just BR to move to the next slide. Now, I've given the data. Let me save it. Let me have a preview of this data. We're getting 10, 30, Shamkiran false. Now, I want to print global data along with this. This is the basic data which I'm giving. Now there is some data called global data. The data which remains constant, the data we call as a global data. I want to print the global data using the expression format. If you want to print the global data using the expression format, let us see the output of that. How to use the global data and how you will display the data. So first let me take the screenshot of this. If you require screenshot, I will take it. Otherwise, we skip off this step. If you want the screenshot for further reference, I'll just copy it. If it's not necessary, then I will skip this step. Okay. Now,
Please take the screenshot. It would be.
okay. So let me go to the next step here. Global data. When I say global data, the data which remains same throughout the data which remains same throughout the application once the user has logged in. That data we are going to call as global data. Called as global data. Now let me give you. So when you are speaking in terms of global data here, the Salesforce we have some predefined global objects. Let me show you that objects here. Salesforce global variables. All the global variables are predefined by dollar. We have dollar action, it's a global object. API, component label, current page, field set. So all these are the global information. All these are the global information. So if you want to refer to the global data, we have to give it in the form of expression format, global object dot field name. So if I give it, let us say I have a global object called, this is syntax. So let me take it in this way. So we have a global object called user. So when you want to refer to the user data, user dot last name. I have profile dot name. We have organization. So this is the global data what I am trying to print in the Visualforce page. So if you want to print the global data in the Visualforce page, we have to give it as expression format with a dollar global object name dot the field name. So let me give you an example of that. So I'm giving here. So all my programs are in your account. You can just log into your account and check out the programs. I'm referring here. Dollar is a dot last name. Then I have dollar name. Just few of the examples. Dollar profile dot name. Now this is the global information. So let me save it. So let me give a BR so that let me break the line so that you get any new lines. So we're getting the first name, last name is admin, first name is system, organization is Bennett, the user profile name is system administrator. So this is how we are referring to the global data. Now I want to refer to the global data from the parameters like URL. If you want to pass any data in the URL, how do you read the data from the URL? We have printed the value directly. Then we have printed the values from the global data. Now, in case if the user passed the data, in the URL, how do you capture the data? So let me give you the idea of reading the data from the URL. So next step, passing the data from URL. If you want to pass the data in the URL, let us say I have something like HTTPS ap1 salesforce.com /apex /page name. Now if you want to pass the parameters, you have to give the parameters in the form of question mark parameter 1 equal to value 1. When we want to pass more than one parameter, we have to separate the parameters using ampersand. Like the same above example, we have HTTPS ap1 dot salesforce.com /apex /page name parameter 1 equal to value 1 ampersand parameter 2 equal to value 2. So this is how we are going to separate. So we are going to separate the parameters with ampersand. Let me write. This is how we are going to refer the parameters. Now, if you are passing the parameters, in the URL, how to read these parameters? How to read the parameters from current page URL. If you want to read the values, we have an object called current page object. If you want to read the parameters in the current page, we'll use this object. This is a global object which is used to read the parameters from the current page. Now let me give you an example. Syntax. Dollar current page dot parameters dot we are going to give the expression in the form of current page dot parameters dot parameter name. So let me give an example here now. I want to read some data. Current page dot parameters dot name. So I am trying to read this data. Let me see. Let me have a preview of this. Now in the page, I am giving a question mark. My parameter is name equal to Sham, ampersand, age equal to 20. Now we got Sham 20. So the parameters what you passed in the URL, those parameters I am reading here. Now when you are reading the parameters from the URL, look at the point. It is not a case sensitive. I have given here name, I give the age. Look at the parameters what I give here. Age small I give. So it is not a case sensitive. So let us say I am passing some extra parameters. Salary equal to 2000. If you pass the extra parameters, it doesn't make any effect on the page. Let us say I'm passing only one parameter. So if you pass the additional number of parameters or less number of parameters, doesn't make any difference here. Let me give you. This is how we are going to get the screen. Let me copy the screen here. Here. So we are passing the parameters. Right. So let me make the screenshot here. So this is passing the parameters to the URL and trying to read that parameters from the page. Let me copy the program. Any query on this? No. Once we are done, now I want to refer the data from an object. We have seen examples of reading the data from a global from the URL. Now I have a requirement where I have to read the data from the account object. I have a requirement where I want to read the data from customer object. So now I want to read the data from a particular object which is already created in the Salesforce. So if you want to read the data from an object, how do you read it? Let me give. So if you want to refer to any one of the object for the data, then we have to define that object as standard controller. So when you say standard controller, standard controller. If we want to refer to the data from the Salesforce object into Visualforce page, then we need to define that object as standard controller. Example. So let me define apex page account page standard control equal to account. Similarly, now once you defined, I want to read the data from the object. When you want to read the data from the object, I have to give object name dot field. I want to give object name dot field name. When you want to give object name dot field name, okay. So let me first complete this, then we have some field level security for this. So standard controller account. Now I am referring to the field account dot name account dot industry. Now we have a point here. When you are saying account dot name, we are not indicating whose record is that. Name is a field, but in the account object we have a couple of records. Now to whose record you are trying to refer. So whenever you want to refer to a particular record, we have to pass that record ID. Print the data for record. We need to pass that record ID as parameter in the URL. Example. Slash apex slash use name mark ID equal to record ID. So when you pass the record ID, the page will open in the Visualforce page data from the object is retrieved from the given record ID. So let me show you this. You are trying to use account name and account industry. Let me have a preview of this. Initially when you have a preview, it is not showing any information here. It is just showing a blank. The reason is I have not specified from which object you have to get this data, from which record we have to get this data. Now let us say I am taking here take this controller and question mark ID equal to the record ID. When you give the record ID, we are getting here account name, account industry. So from this record, it is getting the account name as Textiles Corporation and industry as April. Now we are getting the data from the corresponding object, right? Now this is the data what we are getting here. Is that clear? Let me copy this program. Record ID should be passed as a parameter. Now we are referring to the record. Based on the record ID, we are getting the data. Now we have seen an example of printing the data from all the source. Now I have a question here. What is the difference between 15-digit ID and 18-digit ID? So basically, when we create a record in the object, Salesforce will create 18-digit digit unique ID to recognize it. When you are taking 18-digit ID, this is a case insensitive. This is a case insensitive. The same 18-digit ID is represented in 15-digit. Is represented as 15-digit ID as a case sensitive. So the 15-digit ID is a case sensitive, 18-digit ID is a case insensitive. Now out of this 18-digit, it is something like this. Let us say we had an example. Let me paste this. Let me give ID in this format. Let us assume ID is something in this format. 001. What is the ID that we got here? Let me paste it. The first three digits indicates object, last five digits indicates record. In this ID, first three digits indicate object and the last five digits indicate record. Fine. Okay. Now we have a next CQ question. If the user doesn't have permission on a field, can he see that field on Visualforce page? Now remember, Visualforce page always runs in the user context. Data on the Visualforce page runs in the user context. When you say user context, the security model like OWD, field level security, so all these are considered. Are taken into account before we display the data on the page. So let me take an example on this. So let me go to this account object. Let me go to field level security. Security controllers, field level security, account object. We have, let us say, industry field. For system administrator, I have removed this permission. Now let us run this page. Previously when you are running this page, I am getting the industry. Now let me run this page now. So the Visualforce page is running with the permissions of the field level permissions. So if the system administrator doesn't have the permission on industry field, so he is not able to see the field. When I enable this, let me run the page again. He is able to see. So the Visualforce page will be running on the user context. So this is the basic information. So let us start with the next one now. Next component, what I am going to take. I am taking a component here. Effects output label. This component, so for that matter, I'll take something in this format. Probably that would be more appropriate. Output components. So we have effects output label, output text. So we have output label, output field, output text. So let us see the examples on this. Basically these are used to print the data. Basically these are used to print the data in the readable format. Now let us take it in this way. I am giving standard controller. So I am giving here output label, username, password. At the same time I am giving here apex output label value equal to account dot name. Then I have output text. Let me give input field, output field. So I gave output label, output text, output field. Let me save it. Let me have a preview of this. Again I need to give 1 second. Let me give the break of the line. Let me give the ID for this. Now we are able to see. So there is no much difference here. So everything is printed. Everything is in the readable format. Everything that you are able to see here is in the readable format. So output components will display the data in the readable format. Output components will display the data in the readable format. So I want to make a new concept now. I want to go for something called inline edit. I want to go for a concept called inline edit, where when you click on the field, it should be opened in the form of editable format. It should be opened for edit, and later on I can save it. So let me give you this. Now the same page what I have created, I want to create in different format now. So what I want to do is, I want to create something called inline edit. So let me tell you what is this inline edit is. Output field inline edit. This inline edit will work with this inline edit will work only in the Apex form. So I am writing here some apex form. Okay. So in this apex form, what I am creating here is let it put it in this way. Apex inline edit support. Okay. I made as inline edit. So I am putting in the form I created inline edit support, within which I am putting all these components. So the components what you put in the inline edit support. Inline edit support will work for only output field. It will not work for any other. So let me consider this. Go to the page. Look at this thing. In this I made last field as input text field, input field. The rest of the things when you click on them, this is output label, no use. This is output label, no use. Output text, no use. Output text, no use. But when you take output field, when you say inline edit, you are getting an option to edit the data. You are getting the option to edit the data. That's what the inline edit support is. So we have next component. This goes to edit the output field by clicking them. So for this, let me give you the code. Let me copy the screenshot. Right. Fine. So we'll wind up for the day. Tomorrow we'll see the input components and page box sections. Exactly. It is used for only output field. When you look at the output here, I'm unable to make any changes on the labels. See here, username, password, boolean, text. But last field is output field. Let me show the code. Output label, output label, output label, output text, output field. It is only helps for the output field. So let me give you in this format. Again, I have to give in the output components only output field. The rest of the components are there. We'll see later. Now, with respect to the concept that we have learned now, it is available with only output field. For the rest of the concepts, we'll see in the next session. Right. So that's all for the day. See you all in the next session.